Alrighty, so today we are going to look at the MLS All Star roster that we're going to see, as this is going to be the team that's going to be playing against the Liga MX All Star down in Austin in late July. And we're also going to look at some notable snubs because anytime when you have an MLS All Star team and you only get a limited amount of roster, it's not like where we used to go with the East versus West kind of format, which I feel like they should definitely go back to that format. That will give at least more chances in terms of players to make it into the All Star game, and especially some notable names that kind of get left off on this All Star team that probably would have been there if the East versus West format would be implemented. Now, when it comes to the All Star roster, obviously you got players that are voted in. I forgot exactly what's the number for the voted in and the coaches selection. I think it's 11 when it comes to the coaches selection, and then I think it's also 11 for the voted in, and then the commissioner pick by Don Gabber. He get two commissioner picks, get to pick his two players to send to the MLS All Star game. So starting off with goalkeeper, we got Dane Sinclair, Brad Stewart, and Yohei Takaoka. Dane Sinclair, of course, was voted in. He's making his second MLS All Star appearance after he made his first in his home club in Minnesota. That is, and he was actually the MVP during that year as well. I of course know that because I've attended that MLS All Star game in Minnesota a couple of years ago. Then you got Brad Stuver, of course, making his debut, and there's no surprise. When it comes to coaches selection, this is the squad that Nico Estevez, of course, picked, and I'm not surprised the fact that he picked a couple of Austin FC players. Though I will say that unlike Brad Stuver, the other Austin FC player that he picked was definitely very, very questionable, and we'll get to that. But yeah, Brad Stuber, of course, was picked by Nico Estevez, and same with Yohei Takoka. These three goalkeepers definitely deserve to be on there. Though when it comes to the goalkeeper position, this is always a position that I feel like there definitely are notable goalkeepers that got snubbed on this list, and we'll definitely talk about that once we get to the MLS snub list that I think it is. Then in defense, you got Jordi Alba, of course, voted in. I'm not surprised by that. I'm kind of also surprised that Busquets didn't get in to this one because I was expecting the whole Messi and friends to be part of this All Star team. But Jordi Alba, of course, was voted in. Then you got Max Arston, of course, a coach's selection. Tristan Blackman, who of course is voted in, and then Michael Boxall getting voted in as well. Great to see that Boxy finally get his recognition. I think he's been just one of the most consistent defender over the year, one of the more underrated defender over the year, and it's great to see he finally got some recognition to be in the All Star game. Then you also have Alex Freeman, of course, voted in. He has had an incredible season. I mean, he is a guy that is a classic example of a guy that you probably have not heard of him in the beginning of the season, but just kind of came out of nowhere, really become a breakout star for this Orlando City side, and eventually now being with the national team in the Gold Cup being voted in. You also have Jacob Glesnes, of course, a coach's selection. Then you also have Andy Naha making a coach's selection. It feels like that signing of Nashville bringing back Andy Naha back into MLS, it started to become even more of a bargain right now. I mean, what a revitalized career that Andy Naha is, and how DC would regret the fact that they let him go in the first place. And then of course you got Miles Robinson as a coach's selection as well. And one thing I will also say when it comes to Cincinnati player, I think Nick Hagelin probably would have been there if he didn't suffer the injury that he has. And of course, there are some notable guys that play very well, but unfortunately suffer some injuries. And this is also where it's going to be interesting as we get closer into the All Star game. If some of these players does suffer from injuries, then there's no doubt some of these MLS snub player could actually be there to replace them. So again, just because some of these players that of course got snubbed into the MLS All Star game, that doesn't mean the fact that they still don't have a chance to be in the All Star game. I mean, the All Star roster, it's kind of like the U.S. men's national team roster, where if a player gets suffer an injury during their club level, they can of course have a chance to still get into the national team if the coaches decided to find the right replacement. Then you look at midfield, we have Sebastian Berhalter, of course, voted in. Then you have David DaCosta as a coach's selection. Then you have Evander, of course, voted in. Diego Luna voted in as well. Great to see Diego Luna getting some recognition. I mean, he's been an absolute monster for RSL this season. Then you got Yepe Verskov, also another player that has been an absolute monster for the San Diego side as a coach's selection. Then you have Philip Zincanago as a coach's selection as well. There's a lot of San Diego and Vancouver player that got selected in this roster, which I'm not so surprised because they are the top two teams in the Western Conference, and usually a lot of these selection, a lot of these voted in coaches selection are players that are belonging in terms of some of these top club and the top performing clubs so far in MLS. Now, looking at the four group, and this is where there's definitely some controversy and some questionable selection. So we start off with Patrick Ajima as the commissioner pick, and this is I think the first one that people kind of scratch their head. I mean, nothing against Patrick Ajiman. I think he had an okay season so far this year. Of course, he got being into the national team, and that was also kind of a questionable move as well. Consider Ajiman hasn't really looked that well during his time with the national team as well. But I guess Don Gabber really like the fact that he got into the national team, and yeah, he's gonna go to the All Star game as a result. Even though he's been kind of inconsistent so far this season with Shar FC. Now, a guy that is not inconsistent is Ty Baribo. No surprise that he got voted in here. I mean, he got off to a good start to the season. He has kind of slowed down a little bit, but nevertheless, well, he deserved to be in the All Star game. Then you also got Denis Bawanga. That's not a big surprise. Denis Bawanga is one of the more highly talented player in this league. And then another player that is also very highly regards and a guy that I think is going to hands down win the newcomer of the year, and also potentially might even have a case in terms of winning the MVP. And that, of course, is Anders Dreyer. I mean, he has just been at the center in terms of the creative player for the San Diego side, which is kind of interesting because as we talk about the next pick, which is also a commissioner pick, it's Chucky Lozano. Chucky Lozano was supposed to be the centerpiece for the San Diego side. Like heading into this season, Chucky Lozano, he was a guy that when you look at how San Diego construct the team, it's very similar to how LAFC did it. They want Chucky Lozano kind of be like that Carlos Vela type player, and so far Chucky Lozano, he has definitely had that long spell period where he got injured, and he hasn't really done that well. I think, in my opinion, with San Diego, and I can understand why this is a commissioner pick because anytime when you have an MLS All Star versus a Liga MX All Star, when you face against the Mexican team, you want to of course pick you're a Mexican player to really be the center of the attention facing against the league that his country is in, and Chucky Lozano is definitely that player. He's one of the biggest household name in the L3 game, so makes no surprise to see that Don Gabber decided to pick him there. Although again, he hasn't really done that well with San Diego. He's kind of been a guy that again, we thought he was the centerpiece of this team, but in the end, it's actually Anders Dreyer, the one that has kind of took his spotlight and really be the creative player that we thought that Chucky would be for the San Diego side. Then, of course, you got Lionel Messi, of course, voted in. I mean, that's not a big surprise. I mean, if we knew that coming into this game, Messi is going to be voted in. I mean, it was kind of unfortunate that Messi didn't play in the All Star game last year, and we'll see whether or not if he does play. I'm assuming he's going to play. I mean, I'm pretty sure the tickets for this All Star game is going to be once again really hotly touted because of Messi being play. And of course, last year tickets were really expensive to go to some of these games because this is a chance to see Messi and friends being played for the first time. Then you also have Diego Rossi, of course, a coach's selection, followed by Brendan Vasquez, who, again, this is probably, along with the Patrick Ajima one, this is probably the most least deserving because, yeah. Let's just say that it's been a rough season for Brandon Vasquez. I mean, it's been a season where the price tag that he of course was bought by Austin definitely did not live up to it. I mean, he has scored some goals for this team, but it just feels like it's been a very underwhelming season. And I think the only reason why he got into it is because Nico Estevez. You knew that he kind of had to pick a couple of Austin player. I mean, I get Brad Stuver is one of them, but I'm kind of surprised that the other Austin player that he wants to pick is Brendan Vasquez because again, Vasquez, when you look at the resume compared to all these rest of the players, he probably have the worst resume out of this season, and especially as we talk about some of the snubs on this list, yeah, there are definitely notable number 9 on this team that probably should have made the list instead of Brandon Vasquez and Patrick Archibald. I mean, think right now probably the biggest criticism when it comes to this roster has to be from the ninth spot, because how in the world do you pick Patrick Archibald and Brandon Vasquez over guys that I'll talk about in the snub list? But one number nine that is no question deserved to be voted in is Brian White. I mean, what a season it's been for Brian White, and that's now kind of get himself back into the national team picture. Now he hasn't really done that well so far for the national team, but certainly for the Vancouver Whitecaps, it's been an incredible season. He's been the catalyst of why the Whitecaps have been in a great season. And if Ryan Gaul didn't suffer an injury, I think Gaul probably would have been on this list as well. Now, looking at some of the snubs of this All Star roster that was announced, I decided to pick 10 players that are snubs. And I might also do a video where I look at every MLS team and kind of talk about some of the snubs of every single team. And I pick a players that, are not in this roster that probably could have been into the All Star game, because, MLS is one of the league that unfortunately you're not going to have every single team at least have one representative. We see in other leagues where you have at least one representative for the All Star game, but in MLS that's just not possible because of the limited roster that it is, and especially with the way that you only get to pick like 26 players off the team. That's more less player than the actual team number that we have so far in this league. But yeah, like I said, in terms of the number nine spot, the biggest criticism of seeing Ajiman and Vasquez being spot is how in the world did Sam Surridge and Kevin Denke get left out of this list? Like Sam Surridge right now, I think he's the top goal scorer in MLS right now. So can you imagine leaving your Golden Boot leader out of the All Star game? That's kind of unheard of. And Sam Surridge, I'm pretty sure he is very disappointed that he got left out. I think that last game that he had against New England was just kind of him showing his frustration. The fact that he scored a hat trick in this one, he definitely felt disrespected, and I think he did. I think if you look at probably the biggest snub out of this All Star game, it's got to be Sam Surridge. I mean, it's not even close. Maybe some will say Christian Espinoza, which we'll get to. But Sam Surridge, the season that he's been having, how in the world did he not make it to the All Star game? And the same goes for Kevin Denke as well. I think of all the big money signings that we've seen in the number nine spot, Kevin Denke has been the one that has definitely lived up to the chart, because as we see that throughout this offseason in terms of the $22 million that was spent down in Atlanta, that it hasn't really quite worked out. Kevin Denke has been the opposite. This is a big money signing that Cincinnati was hoping he could be the perfect replacement for Brandon Vasquez at that number nine spot, and he's been everything and then some. He's been a lethal goal scorer for this team, and a guy that, again, I'm surprised that he kind of left out of the list. And also, if it wasn't for Anders Dreyer also having an incredible full season so far, I think Kevin Denke would also be right up there in terms of being the newcomer of the year, or at least he'll probably be one of the finalists of becoming the newcomer of the year as well. Then we get to Christian Espinoza. Again, this is probably besides Sam Surridge, might be up there as the most the biggest snub that we've seen in this All Star game. I mean, Christian Espinoza. What else you have to say about this? Is a guy that I think for the past couple of years he is the most underrated player in MLS. He is a guy that just have not been giving the right respect and the right coverage. And I think part of that is because he's playing with the San Jose Earthquakes, and the Quakes, obviously, they've been kind of an irrelevant franchise and have been good for the past couple of years. But this season, I mean, I've seen Christian Espinoza as a Quakes fan week in and week out, and I'm just blessed in terms of seeing how much of a bona fide star that he has become. He's been such a consistent player for this team year after year, and this season I think this is probably the best he has looked probably since. I mean, he did look pretty good during, I think, the first season when Almeida took charge for the Quakes, but this is probably the best that he has ever looked, and the fact that he is getting left out of the All Star game, and consider he's one of the top goal and assist contributor in the league and get left out of the All Star game, just really a big snub and a big missed opportunity for him to represent the Quakes as an All Star or player, because it's been a while since I've seen a Quakes player that have represent in an All Star game. And with the way that the Quakes are playing some of the funnest soccer you can imagine, it's hard to believe nobody on this Quakes team got made it onto the list. I mean, I could even say Chicho Arango probably could have made it onto the list, or even if you want some nostalgia, bring Joseph Martinez back in this All Star game because he's been having a revitalized season for the San Jose Earthquakes as well. Then we get to the goalkeepers, and again, the goalkeepers there's definitely a lot that could have chose, but I'm actually gonna go with Ivicic and Freeze. I think I asked Ivicic. He's been very underrated and not talked about. And I know that the back line for New England has been good, and I'll also bring out Mamadou Fafana as another snub. He's been one of the reasons why that defense has been really good. He's been just an absolute rocket at the back, but the same goes for Ivicic as well. He has made some big save at time for New England, and is one of the biggest reason why they have only conceded the second least amount of goal in MLS. But I also would put Matt Freese being there because Matt Freese, he has played for the U.S. men's national team, and especially with some of these players that have played in the national team that kind of got into the All Star game. I would have assumed, well, if that's the case, you might as well bring Matt Freese into that fold as well, because Matt Freese has had his time with the national team in the Gold Cup. He's also done pretty well this season for NYCFC as well. So I feel like he probably could have been on this list. I mean, if they would have had a chance to choose four goalkeepers on this list, I think Matt Freese would probably be the most deserving out of all the goalkeepers that of course getting snubbed. And then of course looking at the last four name, we got Hani Mukhtar. That is, I think this is the best that Hani Mukhtar has looked for Nashville since his MVP season. I mean, his combination with him and Sam Surridge, like those two players should have been on the All Star game. Like those two players easily should have been on the All Star game. I would say that if I had to choose in terms of the main number 10, I know they have David DaCosta and Evander as the main number 10, but I rather go with Hani Mukhtar. I would replace Mukhtar with DaCosta. I mean, not saying that DaCosta is bad or anything, but I think Mukhtar it just looks much better in that number 10 spot this season compared to DaCosta, and especially he's a known commodity as well in MLS as well. So I think he probably should have been voted into this as well. And the same goes for Martin Ojeda as well. I mean, yes, he has kind of cooled off a little bit after he had an incredible month of May, but he's been big for this Orlando City side as well. So I feel like Ojeda probably deserve as well. And then of course, I talk about Busquets not being in this team. I'm kind of surprised they left out Luis Suarez as well. I mean, yes, Suarez hasn't had a really good season so far. I say he hasn't had a good season. He's still scoring goals for this Inter Miami team. But I just feel like if you're gonna go with Messi and friends, I'm kind of surprised they only picked two of those four Barcelona players and not with Luis Suarez, or at least him getting voted in as well. I'm surprised he didn't get voted in this one compared to the fact that, yeah, I mean compare if you ask me if I had to pick between Luis Suarez or Brendan Vasquez, I'm pretty sure I would pick Suarez in that spot rather than Brendan Vasquez. And then the last player I'm going to mention is Anthony for the Portland Timbers. So again, if I had to swap a Portland Timbers player, I would have swapped Anthony for David DaCosta. Anthony is very underrated. I don't think he's been mentioned too much. The fact that he's been a big impact for this Portland Timbers side on the attacking end, and I think he definitely deserved to be in the All Star game. And a guy that, again, if I had to replace David DaCosta, if I had to pick a Timbers player out there, I'm gonna pick Anthony out there. And consider, I think he's also leading the team when it comes to goal, the assist chart. I think he's also leading the team in terms of the goal scoring, if I'm not mistaken. I would have picked him there instead of David DaCosta. But there you have it. That is pretty much it. Looking at the MLS All Star roster and the notable snubs from this team. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this list? What do you think of the All Star roster? And also, let me know in the comments below if there's any other snubs that I missed. Of course, I'll probably do a video in the future looking at every single MLS team, and I'll pick one player from every MLS team that could be an All Star player that was not selected in the All Star roster this year. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.